Hello and welcome to Tell It to the Bees podcast. Tell It to the Bees is a project and performance that explores who and how we remember. It's inspired by the folk tradition of telling the beehive of a death or an important life event, such as a birth or marriage. I'm Pyn Stockman, and I'll be your storyteller for this episode, Charming the Bees. Once there was a child, and when the child was born, their parents were already quite old, and that set them apart from the rest of the village. When the child was still a baby, a bee flew in through the window and it landed on the baby's lips. And as the bee sat there, a rumbling hum began in the baby's belly. It bubbled up through the chest and then out of the mouth. And now the first bee was joined by another, and then another, and now there were three, and the bees buzzed around the baby's head, and the baby hummed. And some said that's how the bee charmer got the gift for charming the bees. Now I'd like to invite you to imagine that baby growing up until they're about 10 years old. I'd like you to get a picture of what they look like. What colour are their eyes? And their hair? How long is their hair? What are they wearing? What's on their head or body? What's on their legs and feet? What did they eat for breakfast? And was it enough? That 10-year-old child that you have just imagined is now the child in the story. And so it continues. One fine morning, just at that point in the year when spring becomes summer and the days grow longer and the sky's bright and the sun beckons, the child was sent out on an errand to the village. Between the child's house and the village, there are fields. Oh, and they dance with the swish of long grasses, and daisies and buttercups bloom. On the edges of the fields, there are trees, and they sway in the breeze. And the topmost branches are full of nesting birds. How does the ground feel beneath the child's feet? What can they see? And if they sniff, what can they smell? What can they hear? Linger in this place and breathe it in. Listen, just as that child did. As the child stood there, that rumbling hum began in their belly, and it rose up through their body, through the chest, and out of the mouth, and it was carried away by the breeze. And then the hum was returned with a buzz, and in flew a swarm of wild bees. And I'd like to invite you to imagine what might happen next. You can share your responses by emailing them to me at secretcityarts@gmail.com. If you haven't already received one, you can download a sheet of creative prompts by following the link in the description. I'd like to thank the Arts Council, Birmingham City Council and Active Arts Erdington for funding Tell It to the Bees. And I'd like to thank you for listening.